Hello and what is up everyone, and welcome to today's video. My name's Ash, I'm 20, I live in France. That's basically all the information you need to know about me. So yes, I was trying to situate my phone there as I haven't changed my phone case again. But if you could not tell by the title of this video, I kind of wanted to talk about a subject that I previously refused to talk about, or like I personally do not want this to be what my channel is based about, and I also don't necessarily care like what other people's thoughts are, as it genuinely won't change my mind at all, and I'm not here to change anyone else's mind, but I just want to get the point across, I guess, of where I'm at, because this will always change in like 5 years for all I know. But I wanted to talk about political views, or like not necessarily political views, but where like ideologies, all those different things, to point where I'm at. I personally say that I'm very centered left, and the only the only reason why I say very centered, is purely because the only reason why I'm a slight bit on the left is purely because I am not heterosexual, and that's about it. Anything else I don't really care for that much. I would be considered quite not conservative, but like if I was heterosexual, I would be considered more on the conservative side. So I'd probably be more centre, or maybe centre right, but yeah, I just want to say that. But the reason why is because I personally believe that, okay, so obviously, you know, people should have rights, but we've already established that in most countries. If I was in like the countries where it's still illegal, then obviously I'd be a lot more left than one may think. But here now, it's 100% legal to be myself, and I'm not really having any issues with it. So yeah, but the reason why I would be considered more conservative is mostly because I do find that social media is really bad, and I do think like there are just some aspects where it's like, I don't really I'm not really a big fan. Like, okay, so my first thing is I don't want like I don't really want the whole like social media to be a thing of in the kids' hands, or in the hands of the kids. I don't want kids having phones, and if they do have a phone, they have to have one of those like the ones that don't have a touchscreen, and like with the keyboard, like a Nokia or something, or Nokia, I don't know how you pronounce it, whatever. Like something like that, or like even a flip phone, but not like the touchscreen ones, something like that, until they're 18 and they make their own decisions. And the reason why I'm a firm believer of this, sure, they will miss out on the whole social media aspect, but you could also just like, there are YouTube videos that exist. Like, if you want to learn something, do that instead of doom scrolling on TikTok, which rots the brain. And I personally, I don't doom scroll at all, because of like that reason. And also I feel like, because of doom scrolling as well, I've like I've had a quite bad mental health, and I also just had bad experiences on social media, and I'm probably not the only one. Can't really move by it, and I don't really want that to be upon any kids of what I went through, because I did go through some stuff. And I feel like, you know, kids just overall should not have social media. And that is, and phones again, same situation. Like, kids should only be having each other's phone numbers and not be worried about the rest of the world's like communication. So sure, if you want to learn something about religion and so forth, you got YouTube, you know, like that's a very helpful platform, I'd say. But I'm not having kids making YouTube videos either, you know. It has to be kind of educational, I don't know. So yeah, so that's my point of view on that. pronouns wise and shit, I could not give less of a fuck. Pronouns are based on the presentation of someone leaning towards one thing or another in English society. Obviously, it could be something else in a different country, what have you, but personally, I could not give a fuck. I do it based on how easy it is to use it. As in French, it's easy to use French pronouns, not French pronouns, male pronouns instead of female pronouns, as I'm a little bit too lazy to add an extra E after each word, okay? Thank you. That's all. Like, things like that. I feel like it literally adds a little bit of easiness to it all. And there's like, I don't do it based on presentation. I could not give less of a fuck what people call me. And again, it quite literally is a social construct, so it's like, why should people care? I don't know. But I do understand that biological sex is different to presentation. I understand that I'm also female presenting, and I do not give a fuck what people call me as. So yes, I've kind of desensitized any word under the sun. So you know, yeah. But I guess I'll say that as well. As for I don't really know what other things politically. I do okay. Capitalist, I am. I do believe that also within like, okay, I feel like people should do the jobs they love or so forth. And obviously, I do also believe that education should be reformed in the first place, as it's kind of been a stuck system for ages. I don't exactly know when the current system's been made, but I think it should be more adapted to the level of someone rather than the age of someone, as people learn at different rates, and also they just overall, I feel like what's the word that I'm using? I don't know what I'm trying to use word wise. Overall, they also have different things that they want to learn, and I do understand the basics obviously needs to be there, but you know, I feel like it should be adapted based on where people are at rather than age. That's all. But I'm also a firm believer that people should be in education until the age of 25. I personally am not, purely because school is just not for me at all. I've tried school. I've been up to the end of high school, got my diploma. That's it. But if it was reformed education itself, then I would have happily continued going to school until the age of 25. And the reason why I say 25, and this should be the same for like alcohol, drugs, what have you, anything. Actually, no, drugs, that's a whole different story. We're not going to get into that just yet. But like alcohol, gambling, so forth, all those things should be also bumped up to 25. And that's purely because that is the age in which the brain finishes developing. And I feel like that is kind of the reason why people are fucked. And I understand there's a big culture in America, for example, at the age of 21, where it's so like, oh my god, you can't do it to this certain age, you know. But here in France, we where it's legal at the age of 18 and people are having it a lot younger than that, it kind of gets destigmatized. So it's either we bump it up or we leave it as is here in France at 18. Because I don't want to drink alcohol anymore. I think the party phase finished when I turned 18, maybe 19, and that's because it's not as a big gap. And I feel like I don't know. I don't know where I stand on that, but regardless, I think we shouldn't really be consuming it until the age of 25 anyways, because that's where the brain is finished developing and so forth. But also in general, alcohol, if it was invented today, it would be it would not be FDA approved in America. Because, well, it causes liver cancer and it takes a certain amount of drinks and then you can physically die. Just saying. Like, that's much more quicker than smoking. And obviously, the other things will still be around, but like, yes. I just thought to say that. Point of view of guns. America has guns. I do believe. Okay, so Americans specifically, I learned this recently. They tried to adopt the Switzerland's way of having guns, but they forgot to mention that it was exclusively for like defending your country rather than defending yourself. So in Switzerland you are allowed to have guns and you're able to defend yourself and everything, and it's quite regulated, but it's mostly to defend your country, period. And I think the thing with that is a good way of doing things, but I personally am not a gun person. I think here in France they also have it pretty good. We don't have gun violence. We don't have, like, yeah, sure, it happens on the occasion, but it's like only people who are smart enough to work a 3D printer or so, like being able to manufacture it in house, because you cannot get that imported easily. I think, pretty good way of doing things. And you can, here in France, you can only have a gun if you are police. But I don't know if that means regular police, like FBI, or that equivalent of FBI, sorry, or so forth. So yeah, but I do know that's the only way you can obtain a gun of sorts. So just thought to say that. So that's my point of view on guns. What else is there? We also have oh yeah, okay, so we're gonna get into drugs themselves. Obviously you got the Schedule ones in America. I feel like I actually kind of like the system that currently exists here in France, and I'm just talking like if I was making my own like country, this would be how I do things roughly, so I'm not talking like this should happen, etc. I'm just saying like an ideal world, because that is an ideology, I guess. I think with drugs, it should be here in France specifically. I think it happens in general, but they actually do a lot of it. So when a drug, so to speak, a drug, whatever it is, gets put on the market, it is released to the public. And after like a year or so, it will get like banned, because it's been thoroughly tested enough. And by what I mean by released to the public, this is mostly towards weed derivatives, CBD derivatives, what have you. And yeah, so I think that's from my knowledge. I don't know if it's about I don't know if they do the same with other drugs and so forth, but yeah. But also they put a lot of medical trials on and so forth. So I think that is a really good way of doing things, like wait a year, see how it works, etc. And I would want to continue doing that for medical reasons. Now, drugs that should be made legal. I feel like, okay, again, if it's medically proven that it helps in certain aspects, then obviously, yes, duh. But with restrictions, we're not like, like, I don't know, it's so convoluted when you think about it, because like I do buy CBD. This is probably known facts. I do buy it quite, not regularly, it's not as much these days, but it's around. Also, I spilled Oh, how did I spill that? I spilled my nail polish remover. Okay. But I think, I don't know. I think Eastern medicine should also be looked into more. See how it can help and stuff. Yeah, because most in America specifically, they cannot afford medical care, so obviously Eastern medicine's probably going to be popularized because of that, or else you're going to go into debt. So, just saying. But here in France, most medical things are free or like very cheap. Yeah, we got it good over here, peeps. But yeah, that's my point of view on that. Also, just so you know, I'm not high. I'm just tired. So if you think I am, also I look over there because like whilst I'm thinking, I'm like focus on stuff. So yeah, yeah, I'm genuinely tired. I haven't smoked today or anything. Don't. No, we're chilling. But yeah, so I personally think that yeah, honestly that's literally my case. I feel like it should be thoroughly tested with a control group or just I don't know. Like what they're doing here in France, I feel like it's pretty good. Now, if it's a natural plant, obviously not opium that comes from poppies because I mean that's collected at like a extinctual. I don't know if that's the word. Expansual. I don't know what that word is. Exceptional rate. I don't know. But obviously that's a whole different story. But also it helps. I really don't know how to. What I personally believe though is, I mean, the marijuana plant was essentially legal until one of the US presidents made it illegal. And now it's being legalized again because there's actually beneficial effects. Just saying, I feel like here in France they have got that part completely wrong, but I do also understand that they are exploring other derivatives, compounds, whatever that is involved with weed, but not the whole like hallucinogenic vibes, or not hallucinogenics, but psychoactive vibes that they're wanting. They're just wanting people to, you know, because France is very much a country that obviously got medical aid, like you got a lot of medicine and so forth, but there are also a lot of people that want herbal treatments, and that is how they do it over here. Because people in my city specifically are from all over, and not specifically just France. Like it is, yeah. So I guess I tried my best to explain that, but I think I'm not like a person who wants to completely ban all drugs, if that makes sense. But I also don't want it being accessible to anyone, like under the age of like 25, unless they have a medical need. Like, yeah, I don't know. So that's something else because again, you can make a full consensual choice to do whatever you want, and because your brain's fully developed. Just saying. After that, I mean, yeah, I'm a capitalist, but I feel like taxes should be raised. Don't know what the tax percentage is at currently, but like, I feel like if you got that much money, like, put it into associations or something. Also something that's come to mind as well. I'm not being hard on just the rich. I'm also gonna be hard on the poor, so to speak, or the people below the poverty line. If you're living in, because where I work as a city cleaner, so this is coming from the couple weeks that I've done so far of that. If you're living in a housing complex and dirt piles up, or no, trash piles up on either side every week, to the point that it produces dirt, and you have to have cleaners every single week, twice a week even, because you're throwing out so much stuff. I don't think the interior of your place is that great, and I don't think that would be suitable for children, period. But also, my point of view on having kids, I personally don't want kids. I think I'll be a great aunt, and I just don't think I want kids, really. So yeah. But my point of view on kids, if you cannot afford one room per child, don't have any more kids. Just saying. I feel like people should have their own privacy. And I understand maybe at the beginning, if you've had kids that are quite close in age, maybe separate them at the age of 5, or like when one of them reaches 5. And that just gives you extra time to, get that money and everything. But like, apart from that, one room per kid, it kind of actually is the law in England, I think. I don't know if it is the law, but I remember that being quite that being something that was quite talked about when I was younger. But yeah, I feel like that's just a thing that needs to occur. Especially like, this is more so like if they're the same sex. If they're different like sexes or whatever, they should definitely be having separate rooms earlier on, because development, etc. Yeah. So that's my point of view. Obviously, if you can afford having like 11 kids, I'm not gonna stop you from having 11 kids, as long as each one of them has their own room. That's all on that one. Anything else? Don't know. Honestly, don't know. Also, abandoned buildings. There are a lot of abandoned buildings in my place, in my city, and I guess it depends on where you go, but there probably is abandoned buildings everywhere. I feel like, obviously, okay, I feel like abandoned buildings should, like, if no one's taking charge of what's happening to it, no one's bought the property, nothing's being done with the property, maybe, like, let the homeless go there. Like, let the homeless just, like, live there. Squatting, I understand if the building's being bought, and I also don't believe that squatters have the rights to own a building after 30 days or whatever. But, like, yeah, because that is some laws in America, they do that. I don't know if that's laws here and so forth, but in America they definitely do that, and I am not a big fan of that concept. Like, bro, just move to a different property or something. I understand it can be difficult and so forth, but like, yeah. But that's my point of view on that one. Anything else? I swear to God, there's probably gonna be a part 2 of this if I like don't think of anything right now. Yeah, that's about it, I think. Yeah, I believe that people should, like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a communist by all means, but like, I feel like it should be more like accessible for people to do the things they love. Especially, for example, obviously they have to learn the ins and outs, but someone like me, I'm very much a hands-on learner. I get bored while sitting in a classroom all day. I can't do that at all. But I learn so easily on the job, and I feel like France specifically, they're very much a diploma-based country. So if you have if you don't have a diploma for something, even just working at a shop, you cannot work, and it has to be in that particular thing. And I feel like that's a little bit too much. Like, I think you know, I'm just saying, like, bro, the hell. So yeah, but I do believe everything else they're doing here in France is doing semi decent. I'm not really a big protester, so you know, maybe don't do that as much, because I'm not joking, probably once a day in France there is a protest. And I'm not joking, they also stop schooling when there's protests, or strikes, sorry. And this is not even a teacher's strike, this is just a general rightist or leftist strike. And yeah, it's just a whole thing. Like, France is very much known for protesting. They don't protest to the same extreme as America, where, you know, people are killed and stuff, or just not. No, they're not protesting necessarily for people who are being killed. I don't think that's happening, although I don't go out in the world regularly, but it's mostly political protests. And honestly, like I said, I'm not a protester. I don't. That's why I'm not leaning that far left. I'm kind of too lazy to do protests like that, bro. And the French are very much liberal in that stance. Like, you know, I cannot do that. Anything else? Oh no. No, that's it really. I think we're chilling. Yeah. Anyways, hopefully you all enjoyed this video. Very random topic, I know. But like, I think if you asked me a couple years ago what my point of view was, I probably would have been mid to far left. But I think over the past 3 years, I've just come to the conclusion that it's like the lefts over here are different to lefts that are asking for basic rights in a certain country that don't have basic rights for either women or even like same-sex couples and so forth, or people who are interested in same-sex and so on. But I do also believe that the lefts are taking it a little bit too far. Like, they're overdoing it, and that's probably the reason why America's backing up on their words, backing away from their words, sorry, and they're like undoing certain laws because of this. Because not like trans people, very much happy that you exist, you're amazing, but there are people that take it too far to the point of being like an animal. Animals have two sexes, female or male. Maybe there's intersex animals, I believe there is. But like, there is no, like, you cannot use cat pronouns, bro. Yeah, no, that's not how this works here, peeps. Because, yeah, no. You can be in a costume. Hell yeah. You can do improv. Yeah, meow. Like, I'm not checking you there, but like, to the point where you're making it your identity, that's too far. Nah, we're not doing this. And also, okay, but super quickly, raising kids. Again, I'm not gonna have kids. I'm not gonna judge people on how they raise their kids, at all. But if I were to have kids, hypothetical world, probably gender neutral, still use their biological sex pronouns, I think, because yeah, why not? But I would, you know, not specify like princesses or trucks, but if they want either one, I don't really give a fuck, they can. That's it. But yeah, still raising neutral though, because even though like, I don't know, it's like, but like, yeah, still using their biological sex, whatever. So yeah, because they can make that choice when they're older. I wouldn't give a fuck, bro. But I just thought to say that super quickly. But yeah, this video was a little bit weird. I'm at the point where I don't even attend really Pride. I didn't do Pride last year, but I was also just too tired to really attend. But yeah, I just think personally it's just I get a little bit too tired of the process of. I'm just too tired, bro. I could like I don't care enough to like be fighting for one side or the other. That's why I don't really care about others' opinions. I feel like I'm at that point where it's like I'm into what I like. I like what I like. Like I'm a girl that's into manga. Um, you know, I'm not really gonna change the way I think for anyone or based on the opinions of others. I watch videos that I want to watch rather than doom scrolling. Very much a fan of Minecraft videos, yes, and documentary videos. Currently into good comedy videos, like comedians like Michael Blaustein, I think his name is, and Matt Rife. But like, I'm not necessarily into the whole. I don't know. Also, like left, like leftist comedy is kind of not funny. That's opinions, bro. Like I'm not laughing. I can't like I laugh pretty not easily, but like I laugh pretty good or like have a little chuckle out there. But again, it's like it's kind of generalized now what they're talking about, and I feel like I like a little bit of conservative laughter, but it's like not a serious conservative. It's more so like oh, I don't know how to explain it. It's more like a make fun of conservative kind of laughter. But like, I don't know how to explain it, but like leftists just don't make funny jokes anymore, bro. I'm sorry, but I'm just not laughing. But yeah. So, I watch the videos I want to watch rather than what's recommended or evolving into and so forth. And I'm very happy that I'm not really absorbed in the whole TikTok thing anymore, or like the YouTube shorts. I banned it from my phone for about a year. Like having it just pop up, even for my Instagram reels and stuff. So I don't doom scroll. But I've actually stopped it and I haven't really gone back since because I've realized it's very much like I like nowadays I'm asking recommendations by people that I know rather than people that I don't know, that I don't like, and my mind will be evolving because of that. And yeah, like I don't know. I feel like being dependable on phones and stuff is just not really for me. I'm not going completely analog though. That's a little bit too much. I need to be able to communicate my family at least, bro. But like like I am still gonna like I use analog for films and like audiobooks and stuff as it's the easiest access from the library. Yeah, and I that's only sometimes. I mostly use Netflix on my phone, but like for the most part, I try to be off social media as a whole. So yeah, literally just based on recommendations, living in the real world, so to speak. Blah, blah, blah. But yes, that's kind of where I'm at. I think I've said what's on my mind. I mean, I'm the way I am. You're the way you are. I won't really judge anyone for how they are or how they present themselves or whatever. I don't really get pissed off that hard. But like, if basic human rights are being violated, then that's obviously a whole different story. So, yeah. Okay, that's all. Bye.